Okay, so everyone has cards in front of you. So divide it up between the colors. So you've got blue. Yeah, there's a number of pairs. So you've got blue, green, yellow, and then the orange. There's 3 different shades.
All right, so the orange is supposed to be together?
No, the oranges are all separate.
And 3 different shades.
Okay, so what you're gonna do is your partner is gonna take and fan, I think it's not fillet, pick up a pile and you're gonna fan the cards out. You're gonna pick 1 card out of every color, except for blue, you will choose 2.
Do we choose like choose or?
No, upside down, so like this, so that it's a random draw. Okay. 1, 2.
So we each do 1.
Yeah, you each do 1.
Oh, we each do 1.
That's a lot of money.
You should come do this.
Mine is 2. That's funny, because
What do you get?
yours not going together.
That works. Hey.
Okay, mine too. That's
So what we have is in this lesson, you're going to be crafting your own brand experience. So you have now pulled your cards. So you've pulled 1 card. You've pulled 1 card from each color and then 2 cards from the blue. So you have your industry, that's yellow. You have your customer age, that is a dark orange. You have your customer location, your customer wage, customer money habits, and brand descriptions. So you have a creative brief here. So this is all of the information that really helps
Are we all
you.
doing our own?
Yes, you're going to do your own.
Oh, we did. We just did 1 between the 2 of us.
Oh, yes, you'll want to do your own. So you've created your creative brief. So as we have our next lessons, you're going to be shaping your own company. If you turn to if you go into your packet, it's after your fascination page. At the top it says craft your brand experience. What you're going to do is you're going to write down the information that you just pulled from here. Okay, you have your company written down. So over the next half of this lesson and the next lesson, you're going to start to craft a brand depending on which cards you pulled. And why I did this, you pulling the cards first, is because I really want you to think on how to implement these next things. Instead of just hearing the terms and hearing the concepts, you're actually going to be coming back and saying, okay, here's the colors I've chosen. Here's how we're doing this with the brand. Here's what they're doing online. So you're going to be advising your customer, or if this is yours, you're going to be moving it, or you're going to be creating and elevating their image. Okay. So to really help understand all of the elements that go into a brand, and this is if you've read the vision binder, this is all written out in the vision binder. So we're going to be touching on each train card. What you have is we've used the term train because everything links together but is a separate service. So the strategy portion, like what we were talking about, which is basically what strategy is behind a brand, what your goals are, where are you going, what all of the different initiatives that you have going on is affecting all the rest of these. So branding, by creating that gut feeling through brand identity. So what you have in your brand manual, how it is that you're advertising, etc., your logo, whatnot. Physical, which this is the actual space that people are doing business. Digital, this is what is online, social media, website, customer service, whatever it is. And then operations. This is how they run their store. So lots of times we'll have customers say, okay, what's your ROI? You know, when we give our ROI, it can be 18 to 40%, but we should always say that it needs to be supported by your operations, because one of these cannot create the full brand. What they have to do is they have to have each one to actually create an impactful brand. So, what we have on here is companies can take they can take several different ways to get to their end result. We can have people that are trying to attract millennials, and they can come in and hypothetically they can get consulting on their operations. They would need to figure out their user interface designs, what they're doing online. They would need to core social media to then get to their end result. If they're wanting to get employee retention, they would need to have some consulting on their operations, branding. So you kind of get, depending on what your result is, it will give you, how do I explain this? Okay, depending on what it is that they're trying to achieve, the emphasis on the different train cars will be different. If they're moving to a new location, the emphasis on their actual space is going to be much higher than if they're trying to expand their online store. Does that make sense? So by knowing what it is that the customer is trying to achieve, you can then guide them with the correct train car. So the first one, strategy. So the locomotive is the starting point. To establish your strategy, you need to know where you're headed and why you're going there. So as a salesperson, ask your customer these questions. What is the media saying about you in 2 years? So if you're talking to Labreeze and you ask them, what do you want the newspapers to be writing about your organization, he will start to pull out different things that are important to him. You could ask, what are your team members saying? You could ask Pioneer floor coverings, what are you wanting your team members to be saying in 2 years? That will affect how you're designing. That will affect your brand. Let's see, what does your day-to-day look like? How does your community respond to your customers? And what are your customers saying about you? So by talking with your customers and digging deeper and really trying to understand what it is that they're trying to achieve, you're then going to be able to advise them. You're going to be able to help elevate areas that might not necessarily be covered by signage, but it starts to position you as an expert. So does this make sense on how important it is that you know their strategy? Because then you can actually help them be successful. So again, what problem are you solving? So what problem are they solving? Why are they solving that problem? And what makes them different? Okay, brand identity. Shannon, you want to talk about the Letterman jacket here?
Oh yeah, so this part, it's talking about when you see a high school student, you see like their Letterman jacket and you go to school and it's like it comes with this brand. It has this stigma where people see it and you already have all of these thoughts around it, and that's where kind of brand identity is, because it's not, you're pretty much seeing a visual but you're not meeting the person. That Letterman jacket can do a lot because it's saying different things about that person that they want to portray without actually having to speak it out loud. And that's where, with brand identity, it does that as well. It's more something you can see and interpret off of things you previously know, and then it doesn't take hardly any words for it.
So things that are included within a brand identity. You've got typography, you've got color palettes. I think palettes is spelled wrong, I'm sorry. You've got logos, so logo variations. You have textures. You have iconography, which is generally to say they have like a mountain in their logo and then they use their mountain in different spots. Mm-hmm. That's iconography.
Shrimp.
Yeah, oh yeah, if you look on there, how they repeated the shrimp on the business cards and on the packaging.
That's really cool.
You've got textures. Oh, I said that. You've got photography, videography, tone of voice. So those are just the basic ones. These are all things that you're going to go through and create for your company. But these are all things that companies need. They need to know what type of photography they're using in their branding, because if they put one type in their ads and another type in their store, it's going to feel so disconnected. That gut feeling that they're trying to give people is going to be inconsistent. The companies, and you'll read in Star Brands, the companies that really do their brand well, they're consistent on every platform. They're making sure that this approach, though the execution is slightly different, but the principles that they've set up for their brand is the same. And that's when the customers or consumers in general start to understand the brand. It's when it's all over the place that they lose people. The next one, which we should be experts in, the physical space. So what I liked here, the physical space is where the organization, both the physical and the psychological aspects of a service. So this is where it brings in how your brain interacts with their product, what they're trying to do with shopping behaviors, how they're wanting you to respond to their product into an actual physical space. So this is where Disney does it so well. They've got it timed on when you should be hitting certain things. They have it timed on which parts should be the highlights in your day. You know, they end with fireworks. There's all types of things. So by understanding what your brain needs within the space, you're able to craft it better. Okay, does this one make sense? And again, right here, the environment in which a business operates sets the stage for the overall experience a customer will have with a brand. And then digital. We've had a lot of conversation on digital. This is similar to what I was talking before, in that there's people within all industries that are challenging how we've done things. Like Airbnb has changed how people look at vacations. We have Amazon, which has changed the way that people look at how they shop. We have all of these disruptors, though they might not be in our specific industry, it's changing on how people interact. And the digital space is one of the biggest areas. So within the next 10 years, if our clients aren't developing that digital side of their business, they're going to be left behind. And so right now, we're not able to provide any of these services, but this is something that we need to be able to have a conversation with them about. This is where branding will really take effect. That if we're putting certain things in their store, they need to be putting that online. If they have something that's online that's integral to their brand, we really need to know so that we can put that into their store. And same with social media. The digital space is what's connecting the people that's outside of that direct radius to their brand.
And consider on most people, when you are involved and you're thinking of a company and you're in the store, it's different from when you're outside as well, because you have to hit someone about 7 times for them to keep thinking of you. So through the digital space, seeing them on Facebook, seeing them on all Instagram accounts or all digital media, you're seeing them over and over. When you see an ad multiple times, then you're like, oh, I want to go look at it then. And it builds that relationship more. And so with our clientele, educating on them on that importance of seeing them, because if you're just going to their physical space, you're not keeping them in the front of their mind. That is, you're gonna go for the grocery shopping and that's it. You want them to be coming back and doing more with your business. And so through digital and seeing them more often, that will keep them there and coming back to you. So that's where it's also really important.
For instance, with the Rosie applications they have, where all the click list type of, here's your groceries, go pick them up. What could they do? I've been thinking about what they could do that's different. Not that I really should, because we're not really doing that. But if you think about it, what would be cool about a click list type of app that they're not doing right now? Well, they look at your list and it digitally creates something, a recipe it gives you. It's like, oh, if you add this to your cart, then you can make this recipe. And then you're like, oh yeah, click. and they not only add stuff to their sale, but the customer's like, I was wondering what I was gonna make for dinner, and I would use that.
Yeah, or even reverse engineering it. If they had a list of recipes that they could click on and then it would add
And it
everything.
just adds everything, yeah.
So, though we're not specifically in this service right now, by knowing how the brand affects their digital presence and reverse how the digital presence affects their brand, you can have more poignant conversations with them. And then the last is operations. So, for a company to create an impactful experience, the operations of the company have to support the overall brand. And then the last part here, many times consumers do not remember what they purchased, but they remember how they were treated and the experience provided by the people of the organization. So that's a lot. If you've had a bad experience with a brand, almost guaranteed it's been because you've been talking with a person, or there's been something on the human element that has affected that part with the brand, right? And the reverse, that's why Harmon's does so well, is because their customer service is amazing. And so people, they don't remember what they bought the week before, but they remembered how the people made them feel. And so this is an important conversation when you're talking with your clients, is that you're educating them so that they understand that their operations side is a huge part of their brand. We can create, beautiful decor, but if their people are crappy, the experience isn't going to be there. And so really understanding this is important. Okay.
But our decor can actually help elevate the way their employees feel about their space.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this nice little circle that if we can help their employees feel pride in where they work, then they can then challenge their employees to be better at customer service. So I think that's where we can still, it's that partnership we talk about. They need us, to help with their initiatives, but it's not just us.
Yeah.
But we all have to work together.
Exactly.
I know Chris Brown's talked about being on installs, and like some of the employees that once the store starts getting put up, they're just like, oh my goodness, we love this.
Oh.
And we don't get to see all of that, but the transition that the employees see and the feeling they have when their store gets a facelift.
Well, to go with that, I was actually talking to Rich about that this weekend, and he said when they remodeled the lens there, he got like 20% higher people applying for a job there. That, not even people that were already working there, but more people in the community wanted to work there, so.
Interesting.
And I was mentioning condoms where they're one where they're hanging bars, the deli, all the deli employees come out, are we gonna get those hanging bars like the other ones with the signs? And I'm like,
Yeah.
you are,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
said so.
Okay, so the next lesson, or the next part of this lesson, Shayna's going to be teaching quite a bit of it. But you're going to go in, and if you look through that packet, we're going to be going over brand identity specific.